Parshat Ekev includes the fourth and last of the Parshiot of Tefillin. In the context of the mitzvah of Tefillin, we put all four Parshiot both on our arm and on our head. Throughout our lecture series, we have mentioned as the two basic impulses of life as being and as doing. And the two tefillin that we each wear reflect these two basic drives. The tefillin on the arm seek to sanctify the doing, as the arm represents that organ that does things, whereas the tefillin on the head represents our hope to sanctify our being and our basic inner consciousness. The terminology of the Torah itself bears out this idea. Whereas relating to the tefillin of the arm, of the hand, the Torah says, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, you will tie the tefillin as a sign on your hand, using an action word of tying, a word of doing. Relating to the tefillin of the head, the Torah uses the terminology, isוהיו לטוטפות בין עיניך. Vayu, and they will be. Terminology of being for the head, for the consciousness, a word of doing for the tefillin of the arm. So the two tefillin challenge us to sanctify and answer the questions. First, what must I do? And the question, who am I? I would like to relate to the second question. The question, what tefillin teach us about who we are. There is a teaching of the Ramchal based on a passage in the Zohar that God, the Torah, and the Jewish people are one. That there is an ontological linkage between the three, the divine, the Torah, and the human sphere. I believe that Tefillin comes to reflect this ontological reality. One major theme in Tefillin are the connection between Tefillin and God. The Agadata teaches us that God himself wears Tefillin. And the Medrash says that the verse in the book of Devarim that says that the nations of the world will see the name of God upon us is referring to the wearing of the Tefillin of the head. And the tefillin of the head represents the name of God, and by wearing them, we reflect the name that God and His name are upon us. In fact, one of the names of God, Shaddai, appears on the outsides of the tefillin, the letters Shin, Dalet, and Yud, and the four-letter name of God, which is never pronounced other than by the Kohen Gadol in the Beit HaMikdash, appears many times in the various Parshiot of the Tefillin. So on one level, Tefillin represents God and His name. And by wearing them, we are linking ourselves to God and the name. Another major theme in Tefillin is the connection between Tefillin and the Torah. Many halachot, laws of Sefer Torah are derived from the laws of Tefillin and vice versa, reflecting a belief that there's a parallelism between a Sefer Torah and the Tefillin, meaning the Tefillin are essentially a mini Sefer Torah. In fact, the essential Parshiot of the Torah, with essential Jewish values, are incorporated in the four Parshiot of Tefillin, and it would be a bit heavy to walk around with a whole Sefer Torah on ourselves, so we take a symbolic mini Sefer Torah, and that we wear during prayer, and at times of the Talmud, people would wear tefillin the entire day. In fact, there are places in the Talmud that when referring to the tefillin of the arm, they call it Sefer Torah al Zro'o, the Sefer Torah on the arm. There's the connection between tefillin and Torah is not merely tefillin and Sefer Torah, but there are sources that link the tefillin to the study of the Torah. The Mechilta teaches that one who wears tefillin, it's as if he's studying Torah. And one who studies Torah, while you're studying Torah, you don't need to be wearing your tefillin. And here the analogy is more surprising. I can understand why Tefillin parallels Sefer Torah. Both are tangible objects that include written parts of the Torah. This one is more inclusive, the other one less inclusive. But it's less understandable how does the intellectual activity of the study of the Torah parallel the wearing of these black boxes with Parshiot of the Torah on your body. But I think this gives us an insight about one of the meanings and significance of the study of Torah. The study of Torah is not merely a means to achieve more knowledge, more information. But by studying Torah, in essence, we are communing. We are linking ourselves to the Torah. In that light, we can understand why Tefillin and study of Torah parallel one another. These are two ways that we link ourselves and we commune with the Torah. We could do it by putting the word of the Torah in our mouth, in our heart, in our mind, in our soul. We could do it by binding our bodies to the letters and the words of the Torah themselves. And this idea that the study of Torah has to do about communing, linking ourselves with Torah, is borne out by the following story of Rav Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev. At the yeshiva of Levi Yitzchak, they studied the same page of Talmud the entire winter. And it came time for the students to go home, but they knew that the first question people would ask would be, how many pages of Talmud you studied? So they went to Rav Levi Yitzchak and said, well, maybe for the end, maybe let's turn the page and take a look at the next page. And Rav Levi Yitzchak looked at them in surprise, and he said, what's the problem? I'm perfectly comfortable in this page of the Talmud. For Rav Levi Yitzchak, the study of the Torah was communing with God. Now these two basic themes, Tefillin as linking ourselves to God and Tefillin as linking ourselves to the Torah, are not in contradiction to one another, because we know there are many sources that talk about the Torah as being the name of God. The Torah reflects the will, something of the essence of God. So for us, this is a way to touch, to link up with God and His name. This idea is often identified with the Ramban, who writes that the entire Torah together is the name of God. But in fact, this idea goes back really to the Talmud. The Talmud brings as a source that we must make a blessing before the study of Torah, as the verse as saying, Ki Shem Hashem Ekra Havu Godel Elokenu. When I call the name of God, I will praise God. And the assumption of the Talmud that study of Torah is calling the name of God clearly reflects the belief that the Torah is the name of God. A third motif in Tefillin is the connection between Tefillin and the person himself. Tefillin encompass the entire upper part of the person's body, the arm, the head, whereas the straps go down towards and complete the encompassing of the body. And the tefillin and the straps themselves are made out of the skin of kosher animals, and in a way it's saying that the tefillin is part of me. It's not my clothing, it's part of me, myself. And in fact, that point is made in the Talmud, in the Masechet Zvachim. According to Torah, Kohanim are not allowed to wear more than their basic garments. A regular Kohen wears 4 articles of clothing, the Kohen Gadol 8 articles of clothing. And the Talmud discusses whether the tefillin are a problem because this would be an extra garment. But the Gemara's conclusion is that tefillin are a gufa. Tefillin is really part of the body. And the Zohar indeed teaches that for a person to be one, to be complete and not less than one, he must be with his tefillin. So the tefillin, and yet again, this feeling that myself and my tefillin are one, is really reflecting that these two basic ideas, tefillin as the name of God and tefillin as the Torah, are not concepts which are external to a person, but rather reflecting his inner reality. We all know that the message that the Torah begins with is that humanity is created in the image of the divine, B'Tselem Elohim. Linking ourselves to God and His name through the Tefillin is reflecting this inner reality. We know that often a person is compared to a Sefer Torah. The 248 limbs are connected to the 248 commandments of the Torah. And the Talmud teaches that if one is present at the moment that somebody passes away, they must rip their clothing the same way as if you're present when a Sefer Torah is burnt and goes up in flames. And to highlight this point, I would like to conclude with a story about the Russian police. Secret police once went to arrest a famous Hasidic rabbi. But when they entered his room and saw him wearing his tefillin, they were so overwhelmed with awe that they left and ran to the direction without arresting him. And the rabbi explained it based on the teaching that in the Devarim, that the nations of the world will see the name of God upon you and they will be in fear of you, is referring to the tefillin of the Tefillin Shibarosh. The local gangster heard this story and thought that he now has a foolproof plan to continue with his, to be a bandit. He put on tefillin and went and tried to rob the local bank. Shortly afterwards, he was captured by the police. He went to the rabbi or sent a message because he was in jail, to complain. He said, I did just like you, I put on tefillin, but they arrested me right away. But the rabbi said, no, you didn't understand. The Talmud said, tefillin shibarosh. The essential tefillin shibarosh is not the tefillin on the head, but it can be best translated as the tefillin in the head. The essential tefillin that we wear are the tefillin that are inside of us. Shabbat Shalom.